if I may say so, you can learn more from a failure than you can learn from successes. I did It's About Time 2 years too soon. Comedy, by its very nature, is satire. Drama doesn't have to be. Drama is different. People's imagination go one way with drama, and it takes the audience with them. Comedy has to have something, has to have a precursor. It has to have something that you're satirizing. 2 years after I did It's About Time was the first time that we walked on the moon. 2 years later, I think the show would have had we also had a problem. We were up against the #1 show. But I don't think that was the cause of the failure. We were doing a satire on man walking on the moon, John Glenn. We did it 2 years before he did it. We were doing a satire of John Glenn, and he had not yet done it. We were doing, they went through the time barrier. Well, I'll bet you a lot of people know the theme song. The theme song got more popular than the show. It's about time, it's about space, it's about two men in the strangest place. That was the first few lyrics. And it's about two astronauts who break the time barrier. They go so fast. Something goes wrong and they break the time barrier and they land on the Earth 5 million years ago. And when they get out of their spacecraft, there's cavemen, cave people. And it's again my favorite theme. How does modern man deal with cave people who don't have his expertise and technique and learning, but they have their own things which they do better than modern man can do. So it's a conflict of people who have to learn to live together. Again, it's the same theme. I stress it because I think that's the most important theme in the world in which we live, where big countries have to get along with little countries. And blacks and whites and Indians and Muslims and Jews and Arabs and all these people. It's one world. How do we get along? So I thought that was a terrific idea to compare modern man and ancient man, in a sense, and see how they got along. But we had not the image of a spacecraft landing on the moon and John Glenn walking or getting out and saying one step for mankind and so forth. I don't mean to diminish that, but and as an aside, on the Brady Bunch some years later, we had Jim McDivitt, who was, I think, the fourth man to walk on the moon. He was an astronaut. And he played himself on the Brady Bunch, and he came there. And I was down on the set visiting with him, and he said to me, I am going to be such a hero at home with my kids. He has 2 kids. When they see me on the Brady Bunch, I am going to be such a hero. I said, Jim, what about walking on the moon? He said, that's just what I do. This is going to make me a hero. I couldn't understand that. If I told my kids I walked on the moon, I think I'd be a hero. But here's a guy who walked on the moon, and he said being on the Brady Bunch is going to make him a hero at home.